Hey guys, welcome to AA1-10, completing the square to find the center and radius of a circle. In the last class, we used various methods of finding the vertex, ending with completing the square of a quadratic to find the vertex form. So today we're going to be using that same method to find the center and radius of a circle. So just to review, finding the vertex, completing the square to find the vertex, take a look at my middle term, and I cut that in half, so that leaves me with the x minus 7 squared. Now, if I have x minus 7 squared, then that means I need this term to be 49, because negative 7 squared is 49. So what that means is I'm going to add 19 here, and I'm going to add 19 here. So what I'm left with is, I'm going to erase this and move it over because my stuff is in the way there. So y plus 19 equals x minus 7 squared. And then I need to get y alone. So I'm going to subtract 19 from both sides. So I've got y equals x minus 7 squared minus 19. So that means my vertex is the hk. So that, if that's in a x minus h plus k form, that's squared. Then we're looking at the vertex of 7, negative 19. And there is my vertex. So we're going to be using the same method today, and I just have screenshots from the worksheet because I was out today, so I'm just trying to get something up there to help you guys out. So if we look at the general equation of a circle, this you may or may not have learned in geometry. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. R is our radius. So if we're looking at a circle on a graph, this distance right here, that is really hard to read, is our radius. And then HK, that is our center. So basically what we'd be doing is taking that circle and moving it around the graph given a radius that matches it. So if I have the equation, so now looking at part A, if I have the equation x squared plus y squared equals 100, another way I can write that is x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 10 squared, because the square root of 100 is 10. So what that means is I have a center of 0, 0, and a radius of 10. So the equation of a circle is centered at the origin. So once again, I'd have that x minus 0 and y minus 0, so I can just write that as x squared plus y squared. And a radius of 12, so 12 squared. So if I want to simplify that, x squared plus y squared equals 144. Now, it's important to note that the equation for a circle is not a function, because a circle in itself is not a function because we have more than one x value or y value per x value. A half circle would technically be the function if I put it in y equals form. But we're dealing with the whole circle. We'll just keep on at it. So write the equation of a circle that has a center at 5, 7 and a radius of 10. So I have my x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my h, and I'm going to put in 5. I'm going to erase k and put in 7. I'm going to erase r, and I'm going to put in 10. The only thing I'm going to do to simplify, it's not going to do me any good to multiply this out, so I'm going to write x minus 5 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 100. That's the only change I'm going to make there. So that's either reviewing or reteaching the equation of a circle in standard form. That one is considered standard form or general form, depending on who you tell. So now what I want to look at is what we worked with yesterday of those perfect square trinomials and completing the square in order to put it in that form, the x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So if I look at this first part, x squared minus 10x plus 25. If I take half of negative 10 of x minus 5 squared, negative 5 squared is 25. So this one is in perfect shape. Y squared plus 4y plus 4, half of 4y. So I've got y plus 4 squared. And then, nope, just kidding. Half of 4 is not 4. Half of 4 is 2. Sorry about that. And then 2 squared gives me 4. So that's already a perfect square trinomial. And then if I look at the square root of 100, I can rewrite that as 10 squared. So that means I have a center of 5, negative 2. Watch those. Those are going to be your opposites because it's in the equation. So that's my center. Sorry, it's in parentheses there. And then my radius is 10. So these other two down here on part B, half of 6, so x plus 3. 3 squared is 9, so that one's a perfect square trinomial. Half of 10 for that 10y, so y plus 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. And then the square root of 81 is 9, so I can rewrite that as 9 squared. So that means I have a center of negative 3, negative 5, and I have a radius of 9. So now what I'm looking at are parts of the equation that are not perfect square trinomials, so I have to do some work to figure that out. So I'm going to kind of split these and do one part at a time. If I look at my 8x, I can rewrite that as x. Actually, I'm going to lower that a little bit. Write it just a tad lower. So x plus 4 squared. If I have x plus 4 squared, that means my third term here needs to be 16. So I'm going to add 2. And just like before, if I add it to one side of the equation, I have to add it to the other. So I'm going to add 2 over here. So that has completed the square on that side. For the y value, I'm going to drop down that plus sign from the middle. Take that 20 and divide it by 2. So I've got y plus 10 squared. 10 squared is 100, so I need this to be 100. So I'm going to add 1 to it, which means I also add 1 to the other side of the equation. So drop down my equal sign, and then I've got 22 plus 2 plus 1, which is going to give me 25, which is the same as 5 squared. So that means I have a center of negative 4, negative 10, and a radius of 5. Same thing on the other one. I'm going to split that in half. Half of 16 is 8, so x plus 8 squared. 8 squared is 64, so I need this to be 64, so I'm going to add 4 to it. On the other side, drop down the plus. On the other side, half of the 6y, so y plus 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so I need this third term to be 9, which means I'm going to add 2 to it. So that gives me 19 plus 4 is 23, 24, 25. So I've got a center at negative 8, negative 3, and a radius of 5. so one of the ones I wanted to take a look at is when there is no third term, and all that means is you have to figure out what that third term would be. So if I look at this in terms of x squared plus 6x plus something, and then plus y squared plus 10y plus something, you just have a blank slate to work with there. So again, split this between the x's and the y's. Half of my middle term, 6x, so I've got x plus 3 squared, which means I need this third number to be 9. So I'm going to add 9 over here as well. Drop down my plus. Look over here, 10 divided by 2 is 5, so I've got y plus 5 squared. And then 5 squared is 25, so I need that last number to be 25, so I'm going to add that over here as well. So then if I just simplify my right side of the equation, 2 plus 9 is 11, plus 25 is 36. Square root of 36 is 6, so my radius is 6, and my center is -3, -5. So that's kind of a brief rundown of completing the square to find the center and radius of a circle. It's not that different than finding the vertex of a parabola by completing the square. We just have to do it twice, and on one side, everything we add to one side of the equal sign, we need to add to the other side of the equal sign. That's the most important thing to remember. So make sure that you're completing that worksheet to get enough practice with it. Next time we are going to have a review for your next test, and that will be that. Have a good day.